Jai Hind to all. Myself Akanksha Shukla, and today I am going to discuss one of the topic of the subject, that is object oriented system design, OSD, and the topic is object orientation approach with all its important characteristics. So let's start. What is the meaning of object orientation? Basically, the object orientation approach, object oriented approach, is focuses on the objects or the classes, and the objects are the parts of the classes. Basically, classes represents the whole word or a whole class, or the objects are representing the abstract or the concrete things which are presented in the real world. So we can say that objects are the real world entities, and they are defined by their characteristics and their properties, which are represented in terms of object orientation by the internal structures and their attributes, or we can say that data. So the behavior of these objects can be defined with the help of the methods, which is known as functions also in different languages. Just like in C, we are creating the functions, and there are various functions just like user defined functions and library functions. So the behavior of these objects can be represented or can be described with the help of these methods, or we can also call these methods as the functions depending upon the language which we are using. So the object oriented approach mainly focuses on the classes or the objects. Class represents the collection of the objects, we can say, and object is a real world entity which is representing the abstract things or the concrete things which are present in the real world. Just like in the given example, there are there is a same class. We can say this is a class, the dog is a class, and the fields of this class are breed, size, color, age, and the methods or functions which are presenting in this class are eat, run, sleep, and name. So these are the methods or functions of this particular class dog. Now from this class dog, we are abstracting the objects. So the dog, one object. So the breed of that particular object is bulldog, size is large, color is light gray, and age is 5 years. The second object which is representing the same class, that is dog. The second object is beagle, and he is also having a different characteristics that like size, color, age. So these are the properties of, or we can say that these are the attributes of that particular dog to objects. The third one is German Shepherd, and this particular object is also having some attributes or data, which we can say that the size is large, color is white and orange, and age is 6 years. So from this particular diagram or this particular figure, there is clearly defined that what is class and what are the objects. So difference between class and object is clearly specified by using this diagram, we can say that. Okay. So this is a particular class dog having different fields just like breed, size, color, and age, and the methods are these. These fields are further classified separately by the different objects, just like dog 1 object, dog 2 object, and dog 3 object. Now objects basically forms a kind of capsule forms of things which combines the characteristics and the behavior of that particular objects. So objects are intended to enable the programmers to map the real problems and its proposed software solutions on one-to-one basis. Just like one example, object examples can be given just like in the form of customer, order, or invoices. Just like we can say that customer is a class is a customer. So this particular class customer has different fields and methods or functions. So when we are going to opt the object of this particular class customer, so the customer name, customer age, customer interest, these are the fields of that particular class customer. Okay, and when we are going to talk about the one particular customer, about that particularity, about that specific customer, then that talk will consider as a things related to that particular object only or that particular customer only. Suppose for example, we are talking about the whole class, just like CSIT final year. Okay, so when I am saying that CSIT final year, then I am denoting or I am representing the whole class, And when I am focusing on only one or two students, just like I am saying that particular student X, then that particular student X is representing the object. Okay. So this is the clear difference between the class and object. Now we can clearly see that what is the procedural oriented programming and what is the object oriented programming. So here we can see that in procedural oriented programming we have a global data, and from global data we have a function kind of things, and that particular function contains the local data. Just opposite to that particular thing, in the object oriented programming we have data or functions which are linked one to another. There are interconnection between all these functions or all these approaches. Okay, so here the global data, the functions are deriving from the global data, or there is a best solutions in terms of when we are dealing with the real world complex problems also. So in the concept of OOPS, the first thing is object. So object is anything which is present in the real world, or it is also known as the real world entity. It exists in the form of physical or abstract form. For example, if you are going to represent a person, animal, bird or anything which is existing in the real world, then that particular thing represents the object. Just like example is given that elephant, lion, book, apple, pencils, bags, board, these all are the objects which are presenting in the real world. So object is simple thing, it's not a so complex one. Basically each and everything which is existing in real world is considered as the object. Now what is object identity? Basically it is a unique identity. It is a unique ID which is given to a particular object. Just like in the given example we can see that there is a car. So the identity of that particular car is name and engine number. So that particular engine number is the identity of that particular object. Just like car name can be same, two car can have same name. Okay, but engine number is a unique identity which cannot be a same. So object identity is a fundamental concept, or it describes the property of the object that distinguish that particular object from the other object. So that for example we can also say that the Aadhaar number of a person, of an individual, is a unique identity. Two persons cannot have same Aadhaar ID. So that particular Aadhaar ID is the object identity of each and every individual. Just like similar, identity is a property of an object that distinguishes the object from the other objects in the application. So object identity is a fundamental. Now what is class? Basically class can be defined as a group of similar kinds of objects. Just for example, if you are talking about a class CSIT final year, then that particular class CSIT final year is known as class because it is a combination, or it is a group of the students which are studying in that particular class CSIT final year. So class is a group of similar types of objects having similar features and similar behavior. So that particular class having the students who are studying the same subjects, same teachers are teaching them. Okay, so these similar features and behavior of all the objects constitutes a class. So in the following figure we can see that different objects exist in the real world, and based on their common features these are categorized into the different classes, just like car, flower and person. So we can see here that here all the objects are present here belongs to the same class, that is animal class. So these all the objects are belonging to a same class, that is animal. Okay, just like car, it belongs to different class, flower belongs to different class and person belongs to different class. So here we can see that based on the common features we can analyze all the objects, we can place them into a particular class. So based on their common features and behaviors we can categorize the objects into, here also the set of objects are given, just like I had discussed in this particular example, that based on the common features these are categorized into the different classes, and the objects are car, flower and persons are the classes, and we have given a set of objects. Now from that given set of objects we are going to identify the objects which are belonging to class car and flower and person. Okay, so here we are not doing as such a complex task. We are doing such a simple task that set of objects are given and we are going to categorizing the objects based on their classes, based on their behaviors or characteristics or attributes. We are classifying that particular objects into the particular different classes. Okay, so classes are used to describe the structures of the objects, that how the object will look like. So it is also, we can say that class is also considered as a pattern or the templates which produces the similar kinds of objects. The classes have the data members, attributes and behavior shown by the objects are also called their functionalities. So here the class car, the data member is model, brand and color, and the functions are speed and average calculation. Okay, so model is, this car has model number Artiga, brand is Maruti and color is maroon. This particular car has model is Swift, brand is Maruti and color is red. So in this way we are sharing the data members of each objects, okay, different objects, and functions of all the objects are same, speed and calculate average. Now one of the most important characteristics of the OOPS is encapsulation. There are some characteristics which object oriented approach is following these kinds of characteristics. So one is encapsulation. Just I had told that classes and objects are also the important characteristics or properties of the OOPS. The second one is encapsulation, then inheritance, then information hiding, and the last one is polymorphism. So I am going to discuss all these properties in this lecture. First one is encapsulation. Basically encapsulation is a wrapping up of data and its methods or members or behaviors into the single unit. So it is a mechanism, or it is a process which binds the code and the data together, which it manipulates. So another way of thinking about the encapsulation, it is just like a protective shield which prevents the data from being accessed by the code outside this shield. So in terms of security, we can say that it is one of the most important characteristics of the OOPS, that it protects the data. It acts as a protective shield which prevents the data from being accessed or from being accessed by the outside the code. So if we can see that in another way, we can also say that it is used in terms of security purpose also. So here in this given example we can see, so this particular code is showing the encapsulation, and in this figure we can see that these are the variables, these are the methods, different methods, and these are encapsulated into a single unit, that is a class. So in this way the encapsulation basically wraps up the data and its methods or behaviors into a single unit. Now, what are the real world examples of the encapsulation? A school bag. It is one of the most real example of encapsulation. So this is the real world example of encapsulation. The second real world example is shown here is in network communication. We can see that the data is encapsulated into a single unit in the form of packets. Packets contain the data, and these packets are delivered over the networks. Different kinds of packets are available. So this packet basically contains the data, header files or all the things. So these things are encapsulated into a single unit, and that single unit is known as the packets. Now, what is the encapsulation in object oriented approach? So we can see here a class book is given. That particular class book has different fields, book title or book author name, and the methods are open book, close book and read book. So this particular methods and behaviors of this particular class book is encapsulated into a single unit, that particular single unit is known as a class, which is book. Advantages of encapsulations are, these are more flexible, easier to change with the new environments. It prevents the other classes to access the private fields. It also allows modifying the implemented code without breaking the codes that has implemented that particular kind of code. It, as I told earlier also, that in terms of security purpose, encapsulation is a best approach to use. So it keeps the data and code safe from the external inheritances, and it helps to achieve the security. It also improves the maintainability of the application. What is information hiding? Basically, information hiding, we can say it is an abstraction which hides the unnecessary informations from the programmers. So information or data hiding is a programming concept which protects the data from direct modification by the other parts of the program. It includes the process of combining the data and the functions into a single unit to conceal the data within a class by restricting the direct access to the data from the outside the class. So hiding object details means state of plus behavior of that particular class from the another class. Just like we can see that here is a encapsulation, and here we are going to restrict the access from the, by using private access modifier, we are going to restrict the access from the outside class, and by using public we can access anywhere throughout the class object. So data hiding, basically information hiding is basically hide the unnecessary information, just like when we are driving a car. So we are not aware about the internal structure of the car, only we are having the outer knowledge or outer structure of the car. Okay, so when we are driving a car, so when we are going to accelerate, when we are going to use the accelerator, when we are going to use the brake, we are unaware about the internal structure, that what is actual happening internally. We are not aware of this thing. Okay, so unnecessary information is hidden there. Okay, so real life examples of information hiding, that my name and personal information is stored in my brain. Nobody can access this information directly. For getting this information, you need to ask me about that. Okay, so this is a real world example of information hiding, that unnecessary things are not displayed here. Okay, so in the brain it is stored, all these things. Okay, nobody can access them directly. Facebook may have billions of users account. Facebook is just like a class. It has a private, public and protected members. In private, there may be inbox, some personal messages, photos or videos. In public, it may be some posts which we are going to make public, or user information like date of birth and where we live and basic information, we can say that. And in protected, there may be some posts that only your friends can see and it's hidden from the public. So Facebook is also a real world example of information hiding, from which we can see that how information hiding is used. In object oriented approach, we have objects with their attributes and the behaviors that are hidden from the other classes. So we can say that object oriented programming follows the principle of that particular characteristic, information hiding. Here is a demo of information hiding in C++. So class student is given here, that is private. Here the variables are declared just like integer kind of variable marks is declared, and the string is kind of variable char is used to declare the name. Okay, then we are going to use the public class, in which we are going to display the main method void display, and here we are having student s and its mark is going to display 50. So here the compilation error is provoked because as the member is private, as the details of this class is private, so this thing will not be accessible by the programmer. Okay, so information hiding, how we can restrict, how we can use the restrictions over the particular classes. Okay, this thing is clearly shown here in this example. So the accessibility often plays an important role in information hiding. So the data element marks are private element. In the above example, data element marks is private. Okay, that is private. So that's why here compilation error is shown, because that particular part is private. So when we are going to access by the main function or any other function except the member function display of the class student, it should not properly run and it shows the compilation error. So to make it accessible in main function, it should be made a public member. So here when we are going to declare this particular class as a public, then only the program will run. What are the advantages of information hiding? It ensures the exclusive data access and prevents the intended or unintended changes in the data, reduces the system complexity, it prevents the programmers from the accidental linkage to the incorrect data, and also it heightens the security against hackers that are unable to access the confidential data. But one disadvantage is that it may sometimes force the programmer to use extra coding for creating the effects for hiding the data in that particular information hiding. Now the next one is polymorphism, as poly means many and morphs mean forms. So the word polymorphism means having many forms, or we can say that single phase with multiple interfaces. So we can define the polymorphism as the ability of a message to be displayed in more than one form. Here in this particular example, we can see that here is a given security guard is present here. So that particular security guard can play a different roles based on their position. If a security guard is in college, then he may ask about the ID. Same security guard if present in a mall, then he will welcome the persons who are coming to that particular mall. And if that particular security guard is in organization, then he will wish good morning, and these are the etiquettes which he performed as his duty. So if anybody says, next example is, if anybody says cut to these people. So for the surgeon, cut, meaning of cut is different. For the hairstylist, the meaning of cut is different, and for the actor, the meaning of cut is different. Surgeon will begin to make an incision if cut is said to him. The hairstylist will begin to cut someone's hair, and the actor would abruptly stop acting on the current scene, awaiting for the directorial guidance. So here that particular cut plays a polymorphism role. Okay, that particular cut has many forms depend on their roles. Real life examples of polymorphism, as I told earlier, that a same person guard can have different role or different behavior in the different situations. Like a security guard during competitive exams asks the students to show the identity. In shopping mall, security guard says welcome ma'am or sir, or don't. He never asks for identity card and something else also. In office guard, he will wish sir or ma'am as just like saying good morning sir or ma'am. So the same person shows the different behavior in different situation. That thing is known as polymorphism. This next property is inheritance, which inherits. In the inheritance, we can say that there are different classes, just like there are many kinds of inheritance: single, multiple, hierarchical, multi-level, a hybrid. So simply in all the inheritance, we see that the lower level classes inherit the properties from the upper classes. Just like single inheritance, we can see that class B inherits the properties of the class A. In multiple inheritance, single class will inherit the properties of one or two classes. So here we can see that there are two classes, and single class is going to inherit the properties from that particular two classes. In hierarchical class, a class 1 is given and multiple classes can inherit the properties from that particular class. In multi-level classes, class C can inherit the properties of class B can inherit the properties of class A. So in this way, the inheritance concept is going to occur here. In hybrid architecture, we can see that we are having the multiple inheritance in this part. Okay, and in this part we can see that hierarchical inheritance. So hybrid is hybrid means that the combination. So hybrid inheritance combines the different kinds of inheritance into a single one. Okay, so these are the different kinds of inheritance, okay, which we can use in our programming languages. One multiple inheritance cannot be used in Java. With the help of interface, we can use the multiple inheritance in Java. Okay, in C++ we can use inheritance because C++ language obeys or it uses the concepts of object oriented approaches. So all the properties can be used, which I had discussed here, just like polymorphism, abstraction, formation, hiding, encapsulation, inheritance. All these properties can be used by the language C++. Okay, so that's all about the characteristics of the object oriented programming or object oriented approach. It is different from procedural approach because procedural approach uses the function concept. Okay, it basically in procedural concept we can see that the code may be lengthwise. We can see that code may be long, and comparatively in OOPS the code may get shorter because we are having the different approaches. We are having different concepts, just like class or object concepts. Okay, and just like examples of object oriented languages are C++ and Java, whereas procedural programming languages, in procedural programming languages we have C obeys the procedural approaches, or in procedural approaches we are it's tough to solve the complex real world problems with the procedural approaches. So that's why object oriented approach came into the existence. Okay, so that's the basic difference between procedural and object oriented approach. And today whatever the things I had discussed comes under the characteristics and the properties of the object oriented approaches. That's all for today. Thank you.